Fashion represents not only a social aspect of life, but also historical and economic, since it concerns all individuals from the moment they express the need to cover their bodies to live in society. Today, the term fashion has varied meanings, among which we highlight the industry, the collective consciousness, and the dynamism. Everything that is related to emotion can be influenced by fashion, and this is why consumer purchases are always more emotional and less aware. Until now, no other field has been institutionalized as that of clothing, footwear, and accessories, demonstrating that the suit plays the expression of cultural evolution in customs in a social context and in lifestyle. Newspapers have always been the first to report the information related to current events, to measure news, and to add paragraphs about fashion and trends. Printing includes daily and periodical press and specialized press. In resorting to the printing, we may provide editorial articles composed of photographs of garments worn, which can give detailed information about the company, the stylist, and the product. Fashion journalism develops in France since the second half of the 17th century. The textual apparatus is flanked by pictures, indispensable to tell an evolution of taste and tradition. In this area, fashion is not yet considered a literary object nor journalistic interest, but in a short time it can find its space in fashion magazines. The receipt for a good newspaper included drawings and noted for royal events, funerals of celebrities, and articles of the best-known writers. Journalists who carry out these projects are figures of both sexes, some in search of information, other more professional figures like Mallarmé and Balzac. Among the most original and enduring periodicals we find Le Journal de l'Âme, founded by Madame de Beaumais in 1759 and renewed after 30 years by Pierre-Antoine Lebu de la Messangère, with the name of the Journal des Dames et des Modes. Fashion was no longer just a luxury, but a lifestyle, and fashion production became a significant component of the economy. Today it represents a multidimensional sector, and thanks to technological innovation, people are completely absorbed by it. The fashion today has character and identity, its business, work, professionalism, and entrepreneurship. For the consumer, it becomes behavior of affirmation, freedom, and individuality. And in this case, the fashion marketing is a great help to keep contact between the market and the consumers. In fact, nowadays, anyone involved in the fashion knows the characteristics of users. The creations are influenced by psychology more than the imagination, and more companies and fashion designers make use of the online sales channel. Since the beginning of the 20th century, the fashion market had only a few subjects as recipients: nobility, well-heeled, and traders. But with the advent of mass production, it could reach a wider audience. The business of fashion is now significantly to the economy of our country, and second industry after tourism, with annual turnover of about 52 billion. Among the means of communication and distribution used nowadays, we can highlight the fashion show, the press, the television, and especially the internet. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and it is something that social networks have understood very well. Facebook, for example, has progressively increased the weight of the images, and companies, accordingly, are resorting to the mechanism of empathy that develops with the visual storytelling. Keep in mind that the human beings remember 80% of what he sees. In this photocentric area we are experiencing, as the content editor and CEO Patrizia Soffiati said, another social network has found its proper perspective: Instagram. It is the ideal tool to make storytelling. It allows us to post photos and share them through the hashtag, words that are preceded by an asterisk that synthesize immediately a topic. Fashion has found its perfect space on Instagram, since models, designers, and fashion companies are creating their own profile as a means of spreading an idea to see immediately what the public think about it. The application was launched in 2010 and later acquired by the founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, for $741 million. Last but not least, It takes place in the cyberspace, the blog. The first one was created in California by a university student, and from there on, it started a sort of independent journalism that marked, for better or for worse, a turning point in the history of the Internet as an information source. Among the most used platforms, we highlight AlterVista, WordPress, Windows Lightspace, and MySpace. The language used on these online diaries is little researched and does not exclude the presence of spelling errors, even though a survey revealed that the percentage of errors detected on the blog is slightly higher than that seen on the newspapers. According to Splinter, the leading blog platform until February 2012, on the 9th of July 2010, there were on the net about 475,000 blogs. Over the past years, the increase of computer literacy and the spread of social networks have led to a more conscious use of the Internet. With journalism online updates in real time and freedom of information with no restriction on contents. But how can we be sure that this freedom of information will lead to a real information? With the use of the Internet, it is increasingly undergo a waiver of verification of the facts and sources, and advertising which are around information are going almost entirely to commercialize it. It should be noted that it is difficult to verify the reliability of the source and determine whether the information read is true or not. It remains clear, however, that being on the net is for anyone a beneficial aspect. About companies, we talk about global presence, a constant and prolonged presence, and especially a feedback on the market and usage in real time. With the Internet, any channel of our society can be achieved. Much of our culture goes through these sites, and social networks are the last stop on the path of development of our communication tools. The risk is that what is shown in the virtual showcase matches at an image that others would like to have of us, a search for approval rather than a real desire for comprehension. So I think we should do a split between the main use of the network. On one hand, I believe social networks are a great means of communication and sharing, which perhaps has no parallel in other fields. On the other hand, do not never forget who we really are and what is the real objective to be achieved.